Capicelli, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. I'd like to thank everyone for joining today's call and participating. And at this point, I would like to turn it over to our presenters to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Tom Grunewald. I'm going to be speaking very shortly just to give a quick overview. Some of you may have been in attendance on Tuesday and heard the more lengthy presentation of the background for the inventory rule requirements, and I'll just be speaking very briefly before we get into the demonstration of the application.
And my name is Kelsey Scalera, and I'll be giving a demo of how to access and complete the Mercury Electronic Reporting form.
Great, so let's go ahead and skip ahead. We have an agenda here on the second slide, but I'm going to go right to slide number 3, which is to start us off, what is the Mercury Inventory Reporting Regulation? Mercury Inventory was established in 2016 via amendments to TSCA Section 8, which were among the many amendments to TSCA and the Frank-Hauer-Lautenberg Chemical Safety for the 21st Century Act, or the Lautenberg Amendments. And under TSCA Section 8b10, EPA must establish an inventory of mercury supply, use, and trade in the United States every 3 years, where mercury is defined both as elemental mercury and a mercury compound. Elemental mercury is Chemical Abstract Service Registry number 7439976, or the silvery liquid metal substance most of us are familiar with. And a mercury compound is inclusive of all instances where elemental mercury or mercury compound is reacted with another chemical substance. And EPA has identified 69 mercury compounds listed in the separate and comprehensive TSCA chemical substance inventory, and this list is included in the final rule and the regulatory text for the rule at 40 CFR 713. In addition, the agency is directed to identify manufacturing processes and products, where mercury is intentionally added. We are also to recommend actions including regulatory and voluntary approaches to reduce the use of mercury. And to make all of this happen, Congress authorized EPA to develop an information collection rule. Moving on to slide 4. EPA published its mercury inventory reporting rule on June 27, 2018, and created the reporting requirements that I just referenced at 40 CFR 713. And right now I'd just like to walk through kind of like who the rule applies to and the data that would be required to be submitted to the Mercury Electronic Reporting application. So by statute, the reporting requirements apply to any person who manufactures, including imports mercury, any person who manufactures, including imports mercury-added products, and any person who otherwise intentionally uses mercury in a manufacturing process. And in our reporting rule, the agency explained additional supply, use, and trade activities, as well as other qualitative and contextual details that such persons would need to report, and these will be addressed in detail and visually later in this presentation. So once you've determined that you're subject to the mercury inventory rule, the next question you'll have is, what do I need to report? And in most general terms, the data required to be reported include the following: the amount of mercury that a company produces, imports, stores, uses, sells, or exports. I thought I'd mention this. We've received several questions about the amount of mercury to be reported, so I just want to take a moment to further explain. We interpret the statutory phrase, identify any manufacturing processes or products that intentionally add mercury, as written by Congress, to apply to any amount more than 0 of mercury over the course of the reporting year. So there's no de minimis threshold for this reporting rule. And the other data elements to be reported are the types of mercury-added products made, the types of manufacturing processes and how mercury is used in those processes, business sectors to which mercury or mercury-added products are sold, the country of origin for imported mercury or mercury-added products, and the destination country for exported mercury or mercury-added products. And I'm going to wrap up my portion of this presentation, moving on to slide 5. I just want to cover when do people submit information to EPA. Because the statute requires EPA to publish the mercury inventory every 3 years, applicable reporters must submit information to EPA once every 3 years in support of that publication. In other words, this is not an annual reporting requirement. We are operating on a 3-year cycle, and information is only reported for 1 calendar year within that cycle. The chart that we're looking at on this page depicts the upcoming reporting years, for which the current cycle is January 1st to December 31st, 2018, in other words, last year. And the next reporting years will be the years 2021 and 2024. For each of these calendar years, the associated reporting deadline, which is 6 months after the reporting year ends, or July 1st. So this upcoming, as many of you know, is coming up rather quickly. It's July 1st, 2019, and then it will be July 1st, 2022, and July 1st, 2024 for future iterations of the Mercury inventory. And the chart also illustrates some of the record-keeping requirements and deadlines, which is to be held for 3 years after the reporting year ends, and that would be December 31st, 2021 for this first reporting year, December 31st, 2024, and then December 31st, 2027. So I hope that's helpful. I know some of you heard some of this information on Tuesday, but with that, I'd like to turn it over to a demonstration of the walkthrough of the application.
During this part of the webinar, we'll demonstrate how to access and complete the Mercury Electronic Reporting, or MER, submission form. The MER application is hosted within EPA's Central Data Exchange, or CDX system. To access CDX, navigate to the CDX homepage at cdx.epa.gov. If you have a CDX account, enter your user ID and password to log in. You may have an existing CDX account if you've reported under another TSCA regulation or if you've already started your MER submission. If you do not have a CDX account, click the Register with CDX button and follow the prompts to create one. For more information on how to register with CDX, refer to the CDX user guide in the References section of this presentation. After logging in, you'll see the My CDX page. Here you will see any alert messages applicable to your role, if EPA has posted any. Click the link with your role name to hand off into the application. The Chemical Information Submission System page is the home page for all the TSCA programs. Select Mercury Electronic Reporting, or MER, from the drop-down. Click OK to enter the application. The MER homepage contains a number of resources that may assist you in completing your form. To begin a new form, click the Create New Form button. To create your form, create a new passphrase and enter and confirm it. This passphrase is used to encrypt your submission to ensure the security of your data. The passphrase must be between 8 and 20 characters and may not contain special characters. Ensure that you remember your passphrase. For security reasons, in the event that you forget your passphrase, EPA will not be able to reset or recover it, and you will need to begin your form again. If you need to take a break while filling out the form, you will be able to access an in-progress form from the home page. Click on the form alias to access your form. You will need to enter your passphrase to open it. On the Identification of Reporting Activity screen, you may create a submission alias for your form. You may enter anything here that will help you identify the submission, but please ensure that you do not enter CBI information in the submission alias field. Select the radio button to indicate whether your company manufactures, imports, or otherwise uses either elemental mercury, mercury compounds, or both. Within each category, elemental or compounds, select one or more statements that correspond with your company's manufacture, import, and use of mercury. If you select both, ensure that you select at least one statement from each category. These selections will determine which portions of the form you will be required to complete. For the purposes of this demonstration, an assortment of statements have been selected to illustrate the functionality of the application. Note that the exact information collected will depend upon your selections on the screen. Confirm your selections to continue. Within the form, the navigation header allows you to navigate between sections to complete them in any order. The tiles in the table will only be displayed if you selected the corresponding statement on the previous page. So, for example, if you checked only one statement, you would see only one of the 10 questions or sections. In this example, 5 statements have been selected. Throughout the form, you will have the option to claim the data you submit as confidential business information, or CBI. Check the checkbox next to each item that you would like to claim as CBI. You will be required to substantiate claims that you make at the end of the form. The first section asks about the manufacture of elemental mercury. If your company reported this information under the most recent CDR cycle in 2016, check the checkbox and the first question will be hidden. This option is available on several of the screens. Enter the following data all in pounds. Please note that decimals are not allowed and there is a limit of 1 million pounds for each field. A pop-up message will appear as a warning for you to confirm if you have entered a value greater than 500,000 pounds. Enter the amount of elemental mercury manufactured in 2018, the range of amounts of elemental mercury stored both on-site and off-site in 2018, and the amount of elemental mercury distributed into domestic commerce. Do not enter 0 in this field. If your company does not distribute, check the My Company Does Not Distribute Elemental Mercury checkbox. Use the drop-down menu to select one or more entries to indicate the industry or industries to which your company domestically distributed elemental mercury in 2018. To search the industries, enter search criteria to filter the values in the drop-down menu. If you would like more information about the NAICS codes, click the NAICS classification system link to view a complete list. The link will open the information page in a new tab. The selected industries of distribution are displayed in the table. Use the red X in each line to remove a single entry or the Remove All button to clear the selections. To search the table of selected options, enter search criteria in the box. Note that this search is only within the selected entries in the table. Use the Previous and Next buttons or the numbered pagination to view additional entries if you've selected more than 10 options. Enter any additional information in the text box and click Continue button to proceed. The next section asks about the manufacture of elemental mercury-added products. Enter the total amount of elemental mercury your company used in manufacturing elemental mercury-added products in 2018. The next question asks you to identify the category or categories and subcategory or subcategories of elemental mercury-added products which your company manufactured. Click the drop-down and select one or more categories of products which your company manufactured other than imported. To search the list, enter a search term in the box. Check one or more options to add them to the table. For each category of products, use the second drop-down to select one or more subcategories to specify which types of elemental mercury-added products your company manufactured. You may add one or more categories and one or more subcategories for each category. CBI claims can be made at the category or subcategory level. Check the corresponding checkbox to indicate that you wish to make a CBI claim. Next, enter the total amount of elemental mercury which your company distributed in products into domestic commerce. Do not enter 0. If your company does not distribute, again, check the checkbox. If your company domestically distributed any mercury-added product, select the industry or industries of distribution. To search, begin typing to filter the drop-down list. Select one or more industries from the list. Enter the amount of elemental mercury your company exported in mercury-added products in 2018, or if your company does not export elemental mercury, check the checkbox. Checking the box will eliminate some reporting requirements. Next, select the country or countries to which your company exported mercury-added products in the drop-down menu to add them to the table. Click the Continue button to move to the next section. The next section asks about the use of elemental mercury in manufacturing processes other than manufacturing mercury compounds or elemental mercury-added products. Enter the total amount of elemental mercury your company used in manufacturing processes in 2018. Click the drop-down and select one or more manufacturing processes for which your company used elemental mercury in 2018. For each process, select one or more uses. You may add one or more processes and one or more uses for each process. Enter the range of amounts of elemental mercury which your company stored in 2018, first on-site, then off-site. If your company does not store elemental mercury either on or off-site, check the corresponding checkbox. Check the box if your company does not distribute final products that contain mercury as a result of the manufacturing processes. If your company distributed any products that contain mercury as a result of manufacturing, select the industry or industries of distribution from the drop-down to add them to the table. Check the checkbox if your company does not export final products that may contain mercury as a result of the manufacturing process, or select the country or countries to which your company exported products that contain detectable amounts of elemental mercury in the drop-down menu to add them to the table. The next section asks about the import of mercury compounds to the United States. If your company reported this information in CDR 2016, check the box. Otherwise, enter the total amount of mercury compounds your company reported in 2018. Enter the mercury compound or compounds which your company manufactured by adding them to the table. Click the Search SRS button to search for and add chemicals using the Substance Registry System. Here you can search for a compound by entering the exact CAS-RN or search by full or partial chemical abstract index name. Click the Search button to display the results. If your compound is found, use the radio button on the left to select the appropriate chemical and click Save to add it to the table. Please note that if more results match the search criteria than fit on the screen, you can use the scroll bar on the right side to view additional results. If the desired compound is not found, click the Create New Chemical button to add it. Enter the required information and click Save. If the CAS-RN is unknown, the chemical name will be required instead. One or more chemicals can be added to the table, but each must be added separately. Continuing down the page, enter the following information: range of amount of mercury compounds that were stored on-site and then off-site, and the total amount of mercury compounds that was distributed into domestic commerce. If your company distributed any mercury compounds, select the industry or industries of distribution from the drop-down to add them to the table. Enter the total amount of mercury compounds that were exported in 2018, and select the country or countries to which your company exported mercury compounds in the drop-down menu to add them to the table. Click the Continue button to move to the next section. The next section asks about the import of mercury compound added products. If your company reported this information to the most recent MER reporting cycle, check the checkbox. Otherwise, enter the total amount of mercury compounds your company imported in mercury compound added products in 2018. Use the drop-down list to select the category or categories of mercury compound added products your company imported. Once the categories are selected, choose one or more subcategories from the drop-down list, and then use the drop-down to select the country or countries from which your company imported mercury compound added products. Enter the total amount of mercury your company distributed in mercury compound added products into domestic commerce. Check the box to indicate if your company does not domestically distribute mercury compound added products. Use the drop-down menu to select the NAICS code or codes corresponding to the industries of distribution to which your company domestically distributed mercury compound added products. Enter the total amount of mercury compounds your company exported in mercury compound added products. Check the box to indicate if your company does not export mercury compound added products, and use the drop-down menu to select the country or countries to which your company exported these products to add them to the table. The summary page shows all entered responses to all of your reportable questions as they were indicated on the Identification of Reporting Activity screen. Click to expand and collapse the information in each section, or use the Expand All and Collapse All buttons at the top right. Review your answers to ensure accuracy. If you need to make a change to any page, click the link below the answers to navigate back to that section. You may also navigate among pages at any time using the links in the navigation header. Once you have reviewed all the information, click Continue to proceed. The submitting official information is automatically pre-populated from your CDX account to indicate the name and contact information of the submitter. If this information does not reflect the person who will be submitting the form, edits must be made to the user's CDX account information. Check the CBI checkbox if you intend to claim the submitter as confidential. In order to proceed, you must check the checkbox at the bottom to confirm that you are the legally responsible party from the submitting company as listed. Once this is confirmed, the Continue button will become enabled. To identify a technical contact who is different from the submitting official, check the box that says the technical contact has different information from the submitting official and enter the required information. Next is the CBI substantiation screen. Any CBI claims you have made in the form may require substantiation. Please consult the full text of this page. On this page, check the checkbox if you intend to opt out of substantiation or attach a substantiation document. Click the plus to add an attachment. Enter the page count for your attachment and click Browse to search your computer and upload your document. Check the box if you intend to claim the attachment as CBI. Click Save Document to add it to your submission. If you check the box to indicate you are opting out of substantiation, enter the detailed explanation as to why you believe that substantiation is not required in the text box. Click Continue to proceed. On this page, read the TSCA CBI certification and click Continue to certify. On this page, read the MER certification and click Continue to certify. Next, the system will validate the information supplied throughout the form to ensure that it meets the minimum system requirements and no required data is missing. If errors are found, click on each link to view the error within the form. If no errors are found or once all have been corrected, the system will indicate that there are no validation errors. Click the PDF generation button to continue the submission process. You may click on the corresponding button to view the regular PDF, which may contain CBI information, or the sanitized PDF. Review both PDFs for accuracy. Then click the Sign, Encrypt, and Submit button to submit your form to EPA. You must accept the certification statement to continue. To sign your submission electronically, enter your CDX account password, answer one of your verification questions, and then click Sign to apply your electronic signature. This screen indicates that your submission is complete. Click the Home button to return to the home screen. After your submission has been sent to EPA, its status will change to Processing. Click the green arrow to access the copy of record for the submission. You can return to this page at any time. To access your copy of record, enter the form passphrase and it will download the copy of record document. Upon submission, you will receive an email confirmation from EPA. Once your submission has been received by EPA, the status will change to completed and a case number will be displayed in the submission history table. This may take several minutes after submission. If you need to return to the form to make an amendment, click the lock icon to unlock and edit your form. Additional users can be added as supports to each form through the user management screen. This matrix, which can also be found in the Mercury Electronic Reporting User Guide, shows the actions that are available to users of each role for U.S. and non-U.S. submitters. For more information on how to add primary agent consultant or primary support users to your form, please consult the CDX User Guide. And that concludes the demo.